A princess lived in a luxurious castle. She was only 14 years old, but she was terribly spoiled and moody. Once she came up with something for April to come, and there were spring flowers at the New Year's banquet. She issued a decree in which she announced the beginning of spring and promised to generously reward the one who brings snowdrops to the palace. In a small house on the outskirts of the city lived a stepmother with her daughter and stepdaughter. The stepdaughter was a very sweet and kind girl, and her name was Masha. The stepmother and daughter were very lazy and angry, and they hurt the poor girl in every possible way. They really wanted to receive the reward promised by the princess, but they could not think of where to get the snowdrops in winter. The old woman decided to send Masha to the forest to bring them spring flowers. The stepdaughter began to beg her stepmother to take pity on her, because it was dark and cold outside. And what kind of snowdrops can there be in winter? But the greedy old woman did not want to hear anything. She gave a larger basket and drove Masha out the door. The frozen girl was very scared in a dark forest. Suddenly, in the distance, she saw a light. She was delighted and went to meet him. It turned out that it was a large blazing fire, and 12 people were warming themselves around it. Plucking up her courage, the girl approached them and told them that the evil stepmother made her go into the forest and collect snowdrops. It turned out that it was 12 months. The brothers felt sorry for Masha, and they decided to help her. Brother April chanted a spell, and suddenly spring came in the forest and in the clearing. The snow melted, green grass appeared, snowdrops blossomed. The girl began to collect flowers and soon filled a large basket with them. Young April liked her very much, and he gave her a magic ring. If trouble happens, he must be thrown to the ground, a spell cast, and all 12 months will come to the rescue. Masha thanked them and went home. When the girl brought the snowdrops home, the stepmother and daughter were very surprised at this. Masha was very tired from the journey and immediately fell asleep soundly. Her half-sister suspected something was wrong. While the girl was sleeping, she found her magic ring and took it to herself. After waking up, the stepdaughter discovered the loss. She began to beg to return the ring, but her stepmother and daughter did not want to hear anything. Taking a basket of snowdrops, they hurried to the royal palace. In the palace there was a magnificently decorated New Year tree. But the upcoming celebration did not please the capricious princess at all. And only when the stepmother and daughter brought her a whole basket of snowdrops, the princess changed her anger to mercy. The stepmother could not clearly answer where the flowers came from, and she had to admit that her stepdaughter had collected them. The princess immediately decided to go to the meadow with snowdrops. On the way, she looked to poor Masha, so that she would show her the place where she picked flowers. The girl said she would show it, but only if the ring was returned to her. From such insolence, the princess was angry and threw away the ring. But the stepdaughter managed to cast a spell. Immediately a strong wind rose, thunder rumbled, foliage fell, and snow began to fall. Old Man January appeared before them. He invited everyone to make one wish. Out of fear, the princess wished to be in the palace as soon as possible. Masha made a wish that everything would return to its place in due time, winter in winter, summer in summer. The stepmother and her daughter were so frozen that they wanted fur coats from any fur, even from a dog. Saying this, the greedy women immediately turned into dogs. They were harnessed to a sleigh on which the princess was to get to the palace. Masha thanked the brothers for their help. They promised to turn the stepmother and her daughter back into humans, but only when they become obedient. Months gave the girl a wonderful big sled, harnessed by frisky horses. Seeing them, the princess asked for a ride to the palace. It was the first time in her life that the princess had uttered the word please. And Masha gladly agreed. One day, all the animals on the farm were left without food. Then one little red hen decided to go to the field and look for something to eat. It was sad to walk alone, so the hen went to the cow and invited her to walk together. But the cow did not want to go anywhere, and therefore said that she was very hot and she would stay on the farm. Then the chicken went to the pig, but she did not want to leave her cool puddle. So, the chicken decided to ask the dog for help, but he wished to stay in his booth. Finally, the chicken went to the duck. After a short thought, she also refused to leave the pond. Nobody wanted to go with the chicken, so she had to look for food alone. So, a chicken walked across the field and found several grains of wheat. Joyful, she returned to the farm and decided to plant the seed she found. The chicken thought that friends could help her. She showed the grains to the cow and offered to plant them together. But the cow was still very hot. Then the hen approached the pig, but she refused to help. So, the chicken turned to the dog, but he did not want to leave the booth. The last hen asked for help from the duck, but she decided to stay in her favorite pond. And the chicken had to plant the seeds alone. Weeks passed, the rains began, and the seeds sprouted. It would be worth weeding them. Then the chicken asked her friends who could help her. The cow said it was raining today. The pig did not want to move. The dog was afraid to get dirty, and the duck complained about its health. And again the chicken had to do everything herself. The little red hen weeded the bed alone. After a while, the wheat grew and it was time to harvest. Then the chicken invited her friends to collect wheat together. But the cow was very busy. The pig did not want to get out of its puddle. The dog hid in his booth, and the duck did not listen to the chicken at all. So the little red hen worked until nightfall. She was harvesting wheat ear by ear. Finally, it was time to turn the grains into flour. The chicken again went to ask for help from her friends. Then the cow said that it was time for her to give milk, and refused to leave the barn. The pig didn't want to help either. The dog said that he did not know how to make flour, and the duck was very busy swimming in the pond. The little chicken chopped the wheat herself and turned it into flour. Finally, it's time to bake delicious bread. The chicken turned to her friends for help. But the cow had no time for work. The pig is too tired to help. The dog was busy, and the duck said that she did not know how to bake bread at all. This time, the chicken got really angry. She went to the kitchen, and she kneaded the dough from the flour that she ground. She put it in the mold herself, sent it to the oven and waited for the bread to be baked. When the aroma of fresh baked goods spread around, the chicken took the bread out of the oven. She went out into the garden, sat down at the table, and called her friends. Seeing fresh bread, all the inhabitants of the farm crowded around the chicken. They all wanted to eat well. But the chicken said that she would not share with her friends. After all, she made the bread herself, and therefore only she deserved to eat. And with great appetite, the chicken began to peck at the bread. But she couldn't come to terms with the fact that her friends were hungry. Then the chicken decided to share food, but only if her friends promised to continue to help her in everything. Now all the animals were ashamed of their behavior, because they realized that the chicken was right. And they promised to always help each other in everything. The little red hen knew that her friends were learning a real lesson. She shared bread with them. The friends ate together, became well-fed and contented. They lived on their farm for a long time and always helped each other.